I mentioned the comparison between the fallen empire and Modi in my video about Canada a few days ago, mocking Modi as a coward. He completely cannot compare to those who stand firm, as he lacks the courage to face Trump's bullying and dares not strike back at the US. However, some netizens in the comment section told me that my assessment of India is inaccurate. They suggested that I am accustomed to measuring Indian strength through traditional state-to-state confrontation, which completely ignores India's formidable capabilities. In fact, Indians have never excelled at direct confrontation. Instead, they achieve victory through methods that Westerners cannot imagine. In the past, I would usually skip such comments with a mocking attitude and offer no response. Surprisingly, this time I could not resist clicking a video from a Chinese creator that a netizen shared, and I was deeply shocked. After confirming with AI, I realized that I had indeed undervalued the power of the Bharat Empire. During a video of just dozens of minutes, I was repeatedly bombarded by several concepts and felt the hidden strength of the Bharat Empire, which truly possesses the potential to subvert Western society. What impressed me most was the concept of population jihad and the non-violent non-cooperation movement proposed by Gandhi many years ago. Under the blessing of these two halos, Indians might truly be able to completely overturn the Western world, transforming from former servants into the masters of Westerners. I must also state that I do not entirely agree with the creator's views, but after watching several of his videos, I greatly appreciate his independent thinking and unique perspective. The video describes the closed and ignorant nature of Indian society under the leadership of the Hindu high priest Modi. Indians actually believe that Chinese people want to immigrate to India, leading them to restrict visas for Chinese citizens. This is quite unbelievable to Chinese people, because 99.9% of Chinese would rather live as a pet dog in China in their next life than live in the terrifying and hellish environment of India. Yet, Indians are truly confident because Hindus are fighting a population jihad against Muslims. Modi and the BJP originated from the Indian fascist organization RSS. This organization takes the indoctrination of Hindu fundamentalism and the revival of the hollow Bharat Empire as its mission. In its propaganda discourse, India is the center of the universe and the lighthouse of human civilization. Muslims in Pakistan and Bangladesh, including those within India, are viewed as enemies of Hindus. To prevent India from being infiltrated by these hostile forces, Hindus must reproduce at a massive scale to maintain a population advantage over Muslims. At the same time, they must strengthen entry management to prevent the influx of people from hostile countries which could alter the social structure of India. While Pakistan and Bangladesh are the primary targets of prevention, China is also a neighbor, and Indians fear a Chinese influx will threaten their population jihad. Curiously, the difficulty for Chinese people to enter India and obtain a visa is actually higher than obtaining a visa for the US. Although Chinese citizens can enter Russia and Southeast Asian countries without visas, and the economic development of these countries far exceeds that of India, India remains unwilling to issue visas to Chinese people. I am not certain if the prevention of a Chinese influx mentioned by the creator is the main reason. But from my experience interacting with Indian netizens over the past year, citizens of the Bharat Empire truly believe their country is far more advanced than China and that Chinese people envy the Indian lifestyle. Regarding Western countries, the creator used Canada as an example. He stated that after Indians immigrate to Western nations, although they no longer believe the nonsense of High Priest Modi, they carry the concept of population jihad to Western countries. They reproduce excessively and engage in uterine aggression. Although the Canadian government has discovered this terrifying crisis, it is already too late. Even if they begin to tighten immigration approvals for Indians now, those already in Canada will reproduce excessively and increase their population proportion. Sooner or later, they will become the mainstream population of Canada. At that point, their influence will be irreversible. I have mentioned in previous videos that once a country begins the process of Indianization, it becomes difficult to reverse. Indian immigrants have a strong sense of group cohesion. They provide immigration sponsorship for fellow villagers and relatives, and aggressively recruit Indians in the companies they control. They also invade industries they target through family and collective investments to gradually form monopolies. However, the personal values of the creator are very close to mine. Although I criticize the high number of Indian immigrants, I belong to the minority that does not advocate for driving them back to their own country. I have always believed that immigration is a fundamental human right, and no one, including Indians, should be forced back to their home country. But the prerequisite is that immigrant groups must abide by local laws, obey social order and old cultural traditions, and integrate gradually. Immigrants can maintain their unique culture, but such culture must not damage local laws and regulations or affect the traditional order. I have encountered a large number of Indians online. In fact, in my professional career, I have communicated with many Indians. My personal feeling is that Indians are the most stubborn, least responsible, most excuse-prone, and least trustworthy group I have ever met. Of course, my personal sample size is limited and cannot represent all Indians. But these personal feelings lead me to repeatedly advise the Chinese government to strictly tighten visas for Indians to prevent their impact on Chinese society. Similarly, for Western countries, my advice is that you cannot use the same standards to screen Indian immigrants as you do for other countries. Otherwise, you will regret it. Because the way Indians operate will often break the limits of your imagination. Western nations and Middle Eastern Muslim countries have fought multiple holy wars over Jerusalem and religious differences. However, this traditional mode of warfare is ineffective against Indians. India gained independence by relying on the self-harming method of non-violent non-cooperation, which caused a psychological shock to the British. Today, the population jihad of India will be the next expansion method to shock Western society. Uterine aggression is the wrath from former colonies. Westerners, are you ready?